Well, I'm showing that it's just a little bit after 1 here, so we'll get underway. Thanks for joining us again. I'd just like to remind you guys that if you're not comfortable being on cable, to turn off your video. Tamara is here from Walpole Media. Thank you, Tamara. She'll be recording this so that we can put it up on cable. And I want to welcome Jim Crowley with us today from the building department. He's the deputy building commissioner here in town. Mike Yanovich couldn't be with us today. He's out, but I'm sure Mr. Crowley will be able to fill us in on what's been happening over in his department since COVID started. And we were hoping to maybe discuss, what seniors should look for when they're choosing a contractor to do some work on their home. Thanks for joining us, Jim. I'll turn it over to you.
No problem. Thank you very much. Afternoon, everybody. Again, my name's Jim Crowley. I'm the Deputy Building Commissioner. There's 3 of us in our department. Again, we have the Commissioner, Mike Yanovich, and we also have another inspector, Bob Dugan. We all actually worked together previously in previous towns, so we kind of migrate together. Just to give you a breakdown of our department, you have the 3 inspectors. We have 1 electrical inspector part-time, 1 plumbing inspector part-time. And basically our primary job is reviewing plans, permits for people applying, zoning permits to see if you're allowed to, what you can have in certain zones, certain areas. We do inspections all year long. So in the last year or so, we've done close to 3,000 permits and over 3,500 inspections. We also do inspections on the schools, restaurants, bars, in conjunction with the health departments and the fire department. So every year when they get their license renewed, we do all inspections there as well to keep them up to form. Most of the work originally was on paper. You came in with a paper form. In the last year or so, we've transferred up to probably 99% all online through computers, where you can submit all your forms online. We can approve online. We do our inspections in the field with tablets, so we can bring up any plans, any questions you have in the field, and we can show you on the tablet what was approved, what you need to get approved. It also helps if you ever have any questions about, because obviously there's a lot of projects going on in town. And if you need to see what's going on, you can actually log on to our system at our town website and bring up any address, because it's public knowledge, and look at what's been planned, what's coming ahead, what's been approved. And you can see projects around town, what's going on. So everybody gets, if you ever have any questions, you can either ring us, or again, if you don't want to talk to us, you can look online and see what we have planned or what people are planning to do. Or we can also look at what's going between the zoning board and planning board to see what's coming down the line. This town, we do have a lot of 1-2 family, multi-families. We do have a lot of projects in the center of town that everybody knows of, the bigger buildings going on, which some of them are coming in the next few months to a close, to people renting or buying condos. That's busy at the moment. We also do, again, we do small, we've got our system is pretty good. We have it set up that if you have a small project like a window, siding, roof, that you can apply for what's called an express permit and get it virtually the next day. So there's no delay. You can get your project on your house moving, so you don't have to worry about the weather. If you're getting a new roof and you need it done, you're worried about the rain, we can get it done pretty quick for you. So the computerized system is pretty good for us. It works well. It's pretty easy to follow as well through town. It did come in handy with all this of COVID, where basically town hall and most people got shut down or had to stay at home. We actually kept working because we could do everything remotely. We could do all our sign-offs from all the departments. If we needed help from engineering, conservation, planning, water department, we could do it all online and communicate all online, so they could sign off and approve projects. So we actually have to go in and wait around town hall to get different departments to sign off. So we could do it all online, so we could keep busy projects moving. To kind of give you an idea, since March when all this happened, we have probably between 10 to 15 new single family homes that we've approved in town that we're able to do online, and it didn't hold anybody's projects up or anything at all. So we were able to keep moving at all times. When it comes to the developer, when it comes to actually hiring contractors or getting someone to do work for you, again, most people are 1-2 family homeowners. If you are getting someone to do a project, we usually recommend you get like 2 or 3 bids from people, because again, as long as you get a bigger choice, you can give you good options. When you look at the pricing you get, if you have one that's 10,000 cheaper than the other 2, you know there's something up. So you usually look for 3. Usually recommend 3 bids on your job, and you look at what contract they give you. If they give you a single-page contract, opposed to where someone gives you a 7-page contract, I'm going with the person with the 7-page contract, because it shows, again, with a contract, it protects you, but it also protects the builder themselves. So if they're not willing to protect themselves, they're probably not going to be willing to protect you either. So we recommend that way as well. We always recommend you asking for their insurance, because when it comes to building, there's 2 forms of insurance. One is called workers' comp, and the other is called liability. The liability is the main one for as a homeowner to look for, because that, if they say, God forbid, they cut a power line or they cut a water line in your house while they're doing work, their liability covers your property and covers the repair to the job. The workers' comp is more for if one of their workers get injured, the workers' comp will look after them when they're not working. So we always recommend you ask for the license. There's the 2 licenses we look for is what's called a CS license, which is the construction license, which is the person who's doing the job is licensed with the state. The other license is called a HIC license. It's a HIC. That is a HIC license which is done by the state. It's a fund for any job that if you hire me as a contractor, I give you my HIC license, you give me deposit, and I decide to leave and take your money, you have the right to go to the state. It takes a bit of a process, but it protects you to get your money back, and the state go after the person that took your money. So it's kind of a more secure way, making sure that your home, your deposit, your money, what you're paying for is covered. So we always recommend you do look for them with a developer. If he doesn't have a license, that's the first step. If he doesn't have a license or something up, we will look to have insurance, make sure they're insured to be working on your property. You can apply for a homeowner's insurance, permit. I usually recommend not to do it unless you know what you're doing as a homeowner, because if you apply as the homeowner, you're taking virtually full responsibility for the job, which if you're paying these people good money, they might lose their insurance and their license too, and pull all the permits for you. And then before the work starts, we always recommend, always ask your contractor, can you see a copy of the permit? Because again, our law states, which is state law, that if you're going to start work in your house, there should be a permit on site. So the builder should have the permit with them. If they don't have the permit with them, as they say they forgot it or they haven't picked it up yet, you can always again call town hall and see, or look online again for yourself from home and look up your address, and it will tell you what the most recent permit is, so you can see if they're actually being truthful with you as well. So from our point of view, when we look at a permit, we're enforcing the state building code, from Massachusetts, the international code under the residential building. We also do the zoning bylaws of Walpole and the general bylaws of Walpole, because each town has a different set of rules and regulations. So some town will tell you how much your house has to be on how much of a plot of land to build a new house, how much you have to be away from your neighbor, a setback. So each town is different. So Walpole has its own section of rules and regulations under zoning. So that is taken into account when you're doing a building on your house. And we look at that when we're looking at your permit to make sure it's what's called a standard house, where you're kept back, you're not too close to your neighbor, you're not too close to the road, you're not too far back in your lot, and that you're allowed building, or if someone's looking to sell you a plot of land to build on, we can help you walk through saying, yeah, this is what is allowed on, you're allowed a 5,000 square foot house, or you're only allowed a 1,000 square foot house. So we enforce the zoning laws of Walpole as well. And then after that, then the next stage is through our department will be again, if you're doing, say, an addition on your house, you're building on a nice new sunroom or a nice new patio out the back with a pool. We come out in the various stages of inspections, from the rough inspection to see that the foundation is good, the frame is good, We check the wiring, the plumbing, and then we come back out for the insulation inspections to make sure it's insulated properly so it stays nice and warm during the winter. And then we go back out in the final to make sure everything's up to code, as in smoke alarms, fire alarms, the rooms, the height rooms, the size of the rooms that you have. Again, Walpole with bedrooms have either you're on town sewer or you're on septic. So when you're on septic, there is a limitation on the amount of bedrooms you can have in a house, and that goes on your septic. So again, if you're ever looking at a house to buy and it says it's a 5-bedroom house, you can come to town hall with the health department and ask them about their septic, and they'll go, no, your septic's only designed for 4-bedroom. So we have all that information here as well online, so you can look that up. So we can help from building something new all the way up to you buying a house and inquiring about it, or if you want to sell property or buy property, we help you with the zoning and the planning that you can say, yeah, this is what is allowed, this is what's not allowed. And then on the end of it, if you do add on an addition, you apply for what's called your COA, which is a cert of inspection, and you get a new cert of inspection that says you built a 4-bedroom house, 2 bath, which, being honest, every bank usually requires nowadays for you to have, but at least it's on record that this is your house. We've all designed it this way. It's been approved. You're all above board, and it's all good. And again, as I said, we're always here. If we're not here in the office, we come out for inspections during the day, but we're usually in here in the morning till 10 o'clock. And then we're in the afternoon, usually from 2 o'clock till 4. That we get emails, phone calls. We also deal with, for people having questions on building, to the fun part of even people having complaints about, which we're getting a lot of with the COVID, because everybody's home. So everybody's looking out their window, spotting things they don't like. And we do get a lot of complaints as well. That is a big process of ours, that we get a lot of questions of, are they allowed to do this? Are you allowed to do this? Can I do this? Or you see a neighbor, unfortunately, have something that you don't think is allowed in your single family residence area, or you could be in a commercial, because we still have some like residential people living in a commercial area, which that's a weird one, but there's certain laws and regulations with the zoning that we get people asking, is this allowed? I want to file a complaint, which we go out and look at and we see if it's a genuine complaint or if it's not a genuine complaint. We actually do deal a good bit of that as well, but that's, again, it's part of our job. And then again, with a lot of new projects that are coming, as I said, in the center of town, you also probably have projects that are coming down the pipeline that people have heard of, on like the big 40B on Summer Street. You hear all these other ones coming around town, or the possibility of hotels coming, or a business coming on Route 1, which is kind of our busy area too, Route 1. So we get a lot of questions, which feel free anytime to ring us or contact us through email or phone. If it's not myself, it'll be either Bob or Commissioner Mike. We'll gladly return your call. But again, as we said, it's our job. We're here to help, and it's what we're here for.
Thanks, Jim. Great overview. I know that Linda had a question before we started. Linda, do you want to ask your question?
Oh, she's muted.
Oh, she's still there.
She's muted. She did submit the questions, which I can read to you, Jim, if that helps. I think you touched upon it a bit, but she asked, what is the process a developer has to go through to build an apartment complex in Walpole? And the second part, how are Walpole residents able to find out that such a process is going on?
Okay, so there's a few different departments you got to go through for development. Usually the first time, say from the building perspective, we hear about is a developer comes in asking about a lot of land that they're trying to buy or they've seen, and they've come in asking us what they can build there, is usually where some developers come in. If it's a bigger project like we have at 95 West or the 1034 East, they usually have their own attorneys that have already looked into it, and code consultants, and gave them permission that this is what you legally could build on these if you would like to. For a project like, say, we'll take at the old Woodworkers, that's becoming the age 55 plus living, the 4 buildings that are going in there. The first stage for that is they would apply before the boards, the zoning board, planning board. Again, we won't really hear about it until they come forward with it, because a lot of these projects, the companies prepare for it and get all their ducks really in a row before they apply to a town, because they want to get everything lined up perfectly rather than coming with bits and pieces and then wasting time and money and buying a lot of land to sit on. So they'll apply to go before the board, either zoning or planning, with their development. And that's when it becomes public knowledge, because the boards will post it, stating what nights they're on and what their agenda really is coming before the board. And that's when the public can come in and speak. Even in the meantime, they can come down to the building department to talk to us and ask us our opinion and ask the zoning and the building rights that they're allowed to do in that area, what they can do as of right, what they need is what's called a special permit for, or what they need a variance for. So they go before the boards first. Is the main process is for the bigger buildings, because they're looking at site plan review and the buildings. They won't come to the building department until they're approved by the planning board or the zoning board. By the time it comes to us, we're going on the structure, the safety and the building codes of the buildings themselves. The planning board or zoning board have looked at not so much the structure of the building, but the size of the building, what's in relation to the neighborhood, what is doing with the land, the site plan review of how much open space they have, where the entrances and exits are going. This would all be talked through publicly at the planning board or the zoning board. Again, how the police department feel about they can deal with the amount of traffic if they're called out for anything, how the fire department can access the site, deal with, if God forbid, if there is any fire. That goes through all the planning and zoning board. That is public knowledge. So you, again, unfortunately, you do hear rumors of a project coming, but you never see anything, and people don't know about it till it gets issued publicly before the boards. That's the first stage. You legally hear the first time is when it's put on the agenda for the planning board or the zoning board.
Thank you.
No problem.
Thank you.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
I just find it difficult to drive around Walpole. I grew up here with 10, 11,000 people, and I drive around now and see these buildings, and it's just mind-boggling. I just don't understand, like the one on West Street, that it took up that whole spot. Now, is that supposed to have a garage underneath?
Yes, so that building it's actually the first floor. So as you look from West Street, on the corner where it goes up to the railway station, that has an empty commercial space which can be used for a restaurant or a clothing store or whatever they decide to put in there. The front part along West Street is their gymnasium and their rental offices, because it's a rental building. It's all the owners are keeping it and renting all the apartments. And then the back half of that building on the first floor is all garage space for the tenants. Then on the second floor, because you can't see it really from the outside, but that building actually wraps around and the center of it is open. There's a courtyard with a swimming pool in the dead center, and the apartments wrap around it. So it's, believe that by the end of it, it's going to have 192 apartments.
And how many, will they have parking for 192 cars?
Yes. So we have that's part of the zoning. When you apply for a building like that, you have to meet the Walpole zoning, which dictates how many parking spaces you need per unit, and they have to conform with that. If they don't conform with that, they don't get the amount of apartments. So their apartments match what you are legally in Walpole allowed to park for.
Okay, where are their parking spaces though?
So it's
in
all
that building?
in the building. So
Yes.
if you're standing on West Street,
Yeah.
on the right-hand side of the building, if you drive down between 85 and 90,
Okay.
just at the very back, there's a garage access there. So it's all
Okay.
in the building.
That's where the parking is.
Yes, and the same with the other building on Elm Street, the 1034
Yep.
Elm. That has all underground parking as well.
That's a help, but I just don't know what we're going to do about the traffic and everything else. Wow.
Yeah, I think that the primary idea of the people that built that main building, they're hoping, I think they're, even though they have the parking, they're kind of playing towards people that work inside in town that take the train.
Right.
Because of the train station. So they're hoping that even if the tenants do have cars, they probably won't be using them till the weekend, that they'll
Yeah.
spend most of the week on the train, and that's what they're kind of aiming for. That's their primary aim there. So it'll be busy, but we're hoping they usually won't be using their cars really till the weekend if they can help it.
Yes,
We can
I have
hope.
We can hope.
I have
Exactly.
another question. I'm sorry, I'm a pain, but how were they allowed to build it so close to the street? There's barely a sidewalk.
Yes, that's called a site plan review that went before the planning board,
Oh,
and the planning board gave them permission how close they can go to. And so again, it depends on the zone you're in. So like if you were in a single family home in a rural area, you need to be 30 feet off the rear. If you're in an LM district or a central business district, you have to be like 15 to 25 feet back. If you want to alter that setback, you go before the boards. So when this project originally started here, it was prior to my working here, but they would have gone before the board with a site plan showing how close they were coming to the edge. And the building would have been looked at from the planning and zoning, and them boards would have approved that building.
okay.
When it gets to us, it's just the structure and the safety of the people. It gets to us is all we have the authority to look into.
Right. And is there any way that you could tell us if a building, an apartment building, as opposed to age-restricted housing, like where the wall, like Pennington Crossing,
Mhm.
I mean, that's two totally different concepts. But do you think one is harder to obtain than the other? In other words, was it easier for the developers to build Pennington Crossing, or was it easier for the developers to build the apartment complexes? And yeah, it just doesn't make any difference. It just depends on what the boards decide.
It does to an extent. So if you look at the two projects, 95 West is just an apartment building. They bought a plot of land, and from the developer's point of view, they want to put as many apartments as they physically can there to get their money back.
Yeah.
And because it's apartment buildings, they have a certain criteria and zoning to follow. When it comes to the age 55 plus living, we have more zoning and different type of zoning for that. But
Yeah.
also the state helped that with the one at Woodworkers. It's a different type of building because it's 4 individual buildings on 14 acres of land. So it's spread out more. It's a bit like, I believe it's called Moose Hill
Oh, yeah.
off Route 1.
Yeah.
So
Uh-huh.
it depends on what they want to sell them as, if they're apartments or if they're going to be condos.
Right.
It's going to be 55 plus living. And then again, like the other building that went at Finnegan's Wake, where all Finnegan's
Yeah.
Wake used to be.
Uh-huh.
Again, they done the same concept. They got a plot of land and wanted to put as many apartments as they can. Woodworkers is 14 acres of land, and they wanted to spread the buildings out more. So it's a combination of the land, what the design wants to be, and what the use is going to be.
And also, isn't it the age-restricted housing? I mean, beneficially for the town, that's tax income. And
Yes.
the apartment buildings aren't really going to add to our economy in any way. I mean, I don't know enough about finance to answer that question, but as a person involved in building, I mean, the benefit to the town, I mean, I just comment about that, please. That's all.
Yeah, so again, it depends on the building itself. So 95 West is a rental apartment. So the taxes, even though the taxes will be on the apartments, we tax each apartment an individual. Like the assessor would said, he sets the rate for that. That's dealt with one person or one company per se. As where the 55 plus living does bring money in, but they're sold as individual units. So so again, if I'm renting 95 West, I'm paying $2,000 for the apartment. If the owner decides to up the rent, that's more of an income taxes. But with the 55 plus living, you're selling that apartment. It's basically like you're paying for your property tax. You're paying more property taxes where the tenants are not. It's the owner of the building is. At 55 plus living, you could sell your apartment and make money on it, or you could stay living there and pay your property tax, but your property tax is always going to be paid on
Right.
both of them.
Mhm.
It's just which side of the taxes come out of is where, I don't know if I'm explaining it right, but the one at Woodworkers is individual, so it's going to be 150 individual people.
Right.
As for 95 West, it's just one company that's paying all the taxes.
I see. And do you know either? I know that I don't think that any of the apartments are occupied, but has anyone moved into Pennington Crossing?
So Pennington Crossing has the first building that is done there on the right-hand side. They have got their occupancy for 50 apartments. I believe 12 to 13 have been sold. So people are going to start moving into them. At 95 West, they got permission to open the front part of the building because it's in sections. But I think out of 72 apartments, they've only rented like 3 or 4 at the moment.
No. And you don't have any idea when occupancy is going to happen, do you? When they're going to move in?
Well, I believe there's people in 95 West already, but again, it's only 3 or 4 people.
Oh,
Pennington, it's 12 units. I believe they started moving in already as well, but there's
Right.
only 12. Each of those buildings on Pennington are 50 apartments. So they're not rentals, they're actually to buy. So at the moment, I believe they've only sold 12 to 13 of those.
right. And is there any provision? I'm just looking out there. I'm just trying to figure this out. But if all the apartments do not get rented,
Yep.
is there any kind of a clause or any kind of a thing with the developer where it can be turned into affordable housing, some of the apartments?
No. So again, affordable housing works on, as you all know, like a 40B housing, which is affordable. To meet that criteria, you have to apply for it previously. So these people have built them as a standard apartment that they want to rent. Most developers wouldn't even turn them into affordable because they want to make their money on the rent.
Right.
So honestly, most developers rather see 1 or 2 apartments stay empty than go through the hassle of trying to turn them into affordable, which really can't happen.
Right.
They could drop the price of rent. Usually what happens if you're paying, because I believe the 3 bedrooms are going for 3,500 a month.
Oh,
So again, if they couldn't fill that.
3,500?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I can't afford to live there.
No.
none of us can.
Yeah,
So
if
they do
couldn't
have,
rent it-
they do have 3-room apartments, 3-bedroom apartments, and I thought it was all gonna be all one bedroom and 2 bedrooms.
Yeah, so when you go to a building that size, it depends on what the developer wants, but probably 80 to 90% are 1 and 2 bedroom. They do allow for some 3 bedroom in their development. Most developers stick to 2 bedroom, majority between 2 and 3 bedroom, because that's where our single bedroom, that's where they'll make most of their money. Again, their way of getting around if they can't rent them is just lower the rent slightly.
Oh.
But again,
Is there any chance they're gonna have an open house so we can peek?
yeah, you can actually. They have a full sales office there at the moment that you can go in and talk to them and they'll show you around the apartments.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah.
Oh,
And
God.
then let's go in.
They
Bring your
probably,
checkbook.
I know, tell them we're gonna be roommates. Oh, gosh, they'll see us coming and they won't,
I know. Oh,
well,
boy.
thank you so much. You're so patient and good. Got a lot of information.
No problem, anytime.
Any other questions for Mr. Crowley? I wanted to point out to you guys, he is sitting in the old COA. That's the space that they renovated for the new
Oh.
department. Looks a
Oh,
little
wow.
different. Doesn't it look beautiful?
It
Yeah.
does. Looks very nice.
Yeah, they moved us down here to lock us away from everybody, so.
You've got a lot more space. If you haven't been in there yet, when Town Hall does open, it's beautiful. They did such a great job.
Yeah.
They really did.
Really nice.
Yep. We love it.
So,
What about,
I know, and we miss it. We love it and we miss it.
Oh, Phil, do you have a question?
yeah, I do. What about traffic going in and out of Walpole Woodworker? Are they going to be allowed to go out Kendall Street at all?
No, there is a road up there, but that road will be blocked off with a barrier. That's strictly only for fire and emergency vehicle access.
Okay, thanks.
Oh, and I know what else about that. Will they have their own, I can't even, like, like on the site, not necessarily custodians, but like,
Management company?
managers, building managers?
Yes, they will.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Yeah, they're going, so
Okay.
when that's finished, it will comprise of 4 buildings, roughly the size that is there at the moment. Of 3 of them will have 50 apartments in 3 of them. There'll be 30 in the 4th with a swimming pool and a gymnasium. And they're also going to have a little clubhouse. They'll have a full-time person there to answer any questions or to deal with anybody that comes in.
Oh, good.
I've got one more question.
Yes, sir.
In the Walpole Woodworkers or the Pennington Place,
Mhm.
you're gonna have walking trails. Are the outside people like us being able to go and use that?
If they make it public, yes, but I can't speak if they are going to allow it, again, because it's private property, and it's the people that live there on the area. But if they make it open to the public, that would be allowed.
Yeah, because I live right around the corner from that development, and sometimes I walk on Kendall Street, and it's, as you know, Kendall Street's a very dangerous place to walk.
Oh, yeah.
So that would be nice if they opened it up to the public.
Yeah, again, unfortunately, that's it's not town property. It's going to be a private, basically, management company that will be running it for the people that own each apartment. So it'd be like a condo association. If they give permission for people to cut through, then that would be fine. I can't say that we are or they are not. I do not know that answer.
But still, all you have to do, Phil, is become friends with somebody that's going to live there.
True. Yeah,
You're right. Or I can just go to the town forest and use the COA.
that's
Yeah.
right.
But then I got to drive.
Oh, no.
Then I got to drive there. But anyway, thanks for the information so far.
Yeah.
Really helpful, Jim. I took some notes, so maybe we could put a guide together with some of the comments you made about things people should make sure they ask their contractors for. That was, in particular, really helpful. We've all spent a lot of time in our houses lately and noticed a lot of things that maybe we might want to change. So you never know.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, we have all that on or if you go to the town website,
Okay.
and go to the building department, you can get the emails from the commissioner, Bob Dugan, and myself to send us any emails. Our phone number is there as well. So if you ever have any questions or any information, feel free to contact one of us.
That's great.
I've just got one more question. Are you familiar with what they're doing on Route 1A with all those telephone poles, and when are they going to start the detouring around all that stuff?
That we've not been dealt. That's unfortunately that's DPW. I've no jurisdiction on the road, and I haven't heard of anything. So I can't give you a time frame or anything on that, I'm afraid. I can find out for
I
you.
also heard that when they start repaving and redoing that Route 1A through the state, there's going to be a lot of detours in that area. They're going to go up like North Street, swing around, go out to East Walpole. So I guess we all got to have to keep an eye on that, because it's going to be one heck of a detour for all of us.
Mm.
Boy, it's a good thing I don't live in Walpole.
You don't want to move here?
No, I don't think so. I think I'll stay in Canton.
Oh, it's terrible.
And at $3,500 a home, I think I'll stay right where I'm at. I pay a lot less than that.
Hey, good idea.
I think we are going to see a lot more road work, things that were projects that they weren't able to do kind of early spring. I've noticed all over the place that there is a lot of road work happening. So just leave extra time as you're traveling.
Yeah, I believe a lot of towns are jumping on to get it done. It's just with the corona going around, the amount of traffic on the roads has died down. So it gives them a lot more chance and availability to do road work. So most towns are jumping on the fact the roads are quieter to get stuff done right now.
Yeah,
So
you're right.
you're probably going to see a lot of roadworks in even surrounding towns.
It's a good thing the senior centers are closed now, so, like we don't have to worry about traveling on the road and trying to get to the senior center.
Yeah, true.
I just want to thank you so much, Jim, for joining us. This was really great information, and appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Anytime.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Take
Jim.
care.
I have a question for all of you ladies.
Oh, okay.
Are you ready for this one?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know.
I believe that all of the ladies across the United States of America outnumber us men 5-1 right now. I also believe that by the end of the year, you ladies will outnumber us 7-1. I don't think it's going to jump from 5 to 6. It's going to go from 5 to 7-1. With that being said, I also know across the United States that there are women governors, there are women mayors, women sheriffs, there are women senators. So my question here is this: why is it that if us men are outnumbered by 5-1 right now, why don't you ladies just make a female party, call it the feminist party if you want, or whatever party you want to call it, and get yourself a woman, and I'm just using Elizabeth Warren as an example, because that's a woman that comes to my mind, but I'm just saying, and all of you women get behind Elizabeth Warren and say, instead of a man being president, and instead of Biden, why don't all of you ladies get behind somebody like Elizabeth Warren, back her up, and by November put in a woman as president? So I wish somebody would explain that to me.
Well, there's no explanation. We can have a woman, but right now we don't have a woman who's qualified. I don't consider Warren qualified to be a president.
I'm just using.
No, I know, that was just an example. I know, I understand. But I think that's what happened.
I'm glad that Jerry's speaking for himself.
Yeah.
Come on now, Phil.
Yeah.
You don't believe
No.
a woman could do it?
But
I believe definitely a woman can do it. But
Yeah.
that's his opinion. He's throwing a lot of names around that some I
Yeah.
agree with and some I don't.
Yeah,
I don't know that
there's
this
a couple
is
I
a great
don't.
discussion to have for a public kind
Yeah.
of meeting
I
like
I
this.
know. Yeah. I was going to
by
say
the
that.
end of this
While I
year,
appreciate your viewpoint, Jerry, I think that this is probably not the right place to talk about it.
No. I know.
Okay.
Well,
next
on that
week,
note- on
next
that
week
note-
on Coffee and
What's next week,
Conversation,
On
Jerry?
that note, I
we
gotta leave.
have Mike Schmidt joining us from At Home Hearing Care, the hearing specialist that comes into the senior center monthly, is going to be on telling us what he's been doing over the past several months and what services are still available to all of you folks. So we look forward to having him.
Okay, good.
Okay.
Thanks for joining us today, guys.
Thank
Love
you,
to see
everybody.
your faces.
okay, have a good afternoon, everyone.
You too.
Yes, you
Take
It's
care.
also.
beautiful weather.
Yeah.
See you
Take
next
care.
week.
Bye.
Yeah. We'll see you.
Stay-
Take care.